Welcome back, everyone. I'll do my greeting, which I usually do at the beginning when I greet people back. Welcome back. For those interested, that's not traditional, just made up during the pandemic. Uh, so that's our greeting. So I want to express my joy and my delight at welcoming my friend of quite a long time, many decades, Yasir Chadli, to join us and for us really to engage in dialogue on a number of different themes related to spiritual practice, related to our own experiences, related to the differences and commonalities of different traditions, to how we bring our spiritual approaches to engagement in the world, and so forth. And I want to start with just a very brief introduction of myself and then a longer introduction of Yasir, and then we'll go right into our dialogue. And maybe just to say that when Yasir and I were talking together, we wanted to have our dialogue, this is the language that we use, to have our dialogue be part of a gathering of wisdom, love, and respect. Those were the words that we used. And so just a short introduction of myself. As probably most of you know, I'm a Spirit Rock teacher. I've been connected with Spirit Rock for quite a number of decades, and a member of the Teachers Council for, I think, since 2005, and teach on a variety of themes, both very traditional themes of Buddhist practice, teachings from the Buddha, but also looking for ways to connect traditional practice. Also, I have learned a tremendous amount from, also particularly from the Tibetan tradition, and to bring these more traditional teachings and look at how to live in the contemporary world. So a lot of interest in the intersection of contemplative practice and psychology, particularly teaching on working with the judgmental mind, a lot on daily life practice, wise speech, and also on connecting inner work with social engagement, social service, social justice work. And as I often mention, I've been very influenced by connection with multiple spiritual traditions, including Judaism, Christianity, indigenous traditions, and also Islam. So that by way of short introduction of me, and let me say a little more relatively about Yasir. So Yasir and I think, must have met sometime in the 1990s at the Berkeley swimming pools. This is where we met. Yasir and I, as well, have a long connection with swimming.
Yes.
Yes, Yasir was actually, it was interesting when we were talking about, I think Barbara talking about the Olympics. Yasir was an Olympic swimmer for his native Morocco. And his family has sometimes been called the first family of Moroccan swimming. At one point, he held the national record for the 100-meter freestyle. And we were saying that both of us were engaged in swimming long before we were engaged in spiritual practice. Although one could make the case that they're not so different. Anyway, and for myself also, I started competitive swimming around age 10. At one point, I have held records, but they were not national records. They were local age group records. Not bad, not okay. That's okay. And so we met in the Berkeley pools and have had discussion in the pools for years and years, sort of short spiritual discussions at times for many, many years. And part of the reason Yasir is in this sort of transitional time is that he has just retired after many, many years of working for the Berkeley Pools. And there's a beautiful article which is in the chat if you want to learn more, and has wonderful pictures from many, many years of Yassir. So we've talked many times at the pools. We've also collaborated in different ways. I remember we talked together right after 9/11. We brought Yassir together with an event in Berkeley with the Buddhist Peace Fellowship, reflecting on responses to 9/11. So we can come back to that. So he has been for a very long time a Sufi practitioner, and we'll talk further about the nature of Sufism. And generally, it's we can come back to this, but it's generally thought to be one of the dimension of Islam in which there's a special emphasis on inner purification and bringing in mystical dimensions. We can come back and see if that seems accurate, Yassir, but that's a general way to introduce. And so Yassir has been beloved at the pool, a great teacher, and I think the term of being a lifeguard is a very wonderful one. Very interesting term. And maybe just a few other things to say, that he has a mosque in Oakland near the Berkeley border, and he also has been a wonderful, tremendous musician. And if you look on YouTube, there are a number of recordings of Yassir, particularly playing Moroccan and North African music, but really engaged in world music more generally. So someone of multiple talents and multiple backgrounds. So I want to welcome you, Yassir. It's wonderful to share our time now. And maybe to start, just to say a little bit about your own personal background, how you came to become a Sufi practitioner, what that's meant to you, a little bit about Sufism, and anything more about your background that you'd like to share.
Thank you, Donald. This is a beautiful setting. I like to start by saying Salam Alaikum, means peace be upon you. And the answer is reverse. Alaikum Salam. So I will say it and you can reverse it. Salam Alaikum. You said it, I didn't hear it, but it's okay.
Everyone said it, they're muted, but we can hear it.
So, my background growing in Morocco, the difference between the ladies' world and the men's world was distinct. So when I was young, the ladies, they have at 4 o'clock to 5 o'clock, they have sweets, cafe latte, they make their own, bake their own things there, and they surround the living room, beautiful perfume and smells, and they wear beautiful attires. And then my mother, she calls me, come here, Yassir, Yassir. I come, she said, and I am just 7 years old. She said, where do you come from? I said, from my father. That's what I thought I was coming from. And they laugh. And then one day I discovered that she gave birth to my brother. I said, you brought me here. I didn't come from my father. You brought me here. Why did you bring me here without asking me, would you like to come here, yes or no? So I can have a choice. I am here with choiceless. Why you didn't ask me? She said, I didn't bring you here. Allah sent you here. Now I become searching. Who is this Allah? And why did he send me here? So my search for that started then at that time. That's the journey. So I was always curious. How did I come here? Why was I here? How come I didn't have a question, would you like to come here, or choice? And I had no choice. So this journey started my curiosity about myself. And that is the link to Sufism. From that journey, I started to search and search. Then I found out that my family itself, my last name is written in French way, Shadli, but in Arabic is Ash-Shadili, and it's the name of a Sufi order. So I already was surrounded by this Sufi order, Shadili. So I grew up in the Sufi family. And the Sufi family, you learn a lot from what my father learned from his father, from his grandfather, and everything was coming down like this. Then they add more to what you know. I remember I told my father, oh, why do you pray every day? You have to pray, you have to pray. For what? Look, those people, without any prayers or nothing, they already arrived to the moon. And you're praying for no reason. This is a waste of time. He said, oh, they arrived to the moon, but can they make the sun to rise from the west? Then I will follow them. That was his answer. I don't know what to say. So this is the journey, personal journey for me. Then gently, I start to learn about the presence of now and why we are doing it. Then I see my father, whenever he enters the house, he enters with his right foot. And when he leaves the house, he leaves with the left. When he wears his shoes, he starts with the right foot first and then the left. When he takes his shoes off, he takes the left and the right. Fine. Whenever he needs to cut his nails, he starts with the index. All these things he was doing, I started saying, why? He said, because I want to be present. The present of now. I'm exercising to be present now. That's why I do it. Okay. When you do the index of the right hand, why not do the thumbs? Because I heard that we are different than the monkeys because we have thumbs. He said, no, because if there is a criminal and we want to find, say, who killed this? You point, that one. You point with this finger. And he said, the little babies, they also, if they want something, they'll point to it. They say, da. Therefore, we start with that. And then he goes on the right side to the pinky and goes to the other pinky, go around. And then the last one will be the thumb. And he does it in a circle movement. Why? To be present, to say, now I am here, I'm conscious. Then, before he prays, he has this bucket full of water. And then he takes with the right hand the water and then wash the left hand. He takes with the left and wash the right hand 3 times. Then the left 3 times, then the mouth, he gargles, go 3 times, the nose, he block this one, do like this, 3 times this. I said, why are you doing all that? He said, I am living in this body and I will be conscious of my body that I have. To be conscious of my body. And he said, this is the first level of Sufism, to be conscious. And the first level of Islam, to be conscious of your body. I said, what's the wisdom behind it? He said, when you do wudu, It's called wudu, W-U-D-U. We call it ablution. So what is the wisdom behind ablution? He said, when I break the ablution by, let's say I'm going somewhere, suddenly I had gas. When I have gas, I know I broke the ablution. Means I have to do it again. And that's to make you conscious. Also, if I went to the bathroom, and then Carlina, you said something like bio break?
Yeah.
Bio break, yes.
Yeah, that was a good name. I was going to say, I'm going to go pee, but it doesn't sound good. Bio break, that has more respect. So if you have a bio break, you broke the wudu of your consciousness of your body. This is after you wash your hand, your mouth, your nose, your face, your upper arm to the elbow, this one to the elbow, your head one time and back, your ears, behind your ears, your foot all behind your toes and everything complete. So you are aware when you break it. And that awareness makes you conscious of your body. And that's level 1, to be conscious of your body. Then number 2, to be conscious of your heart. Now this heart is like a hotel, and it has a door that, hotels, they have this glass door that turns around. It has
4 parts, yeah.
4 parts.
Yeah.
And then around that heart, there are 70,000 thoughts that comes. And they come by group, and they enter the hotel, which is you. If they enter and you accept them, then you'll tell the mind, okay, we're going to do this. And then your whole body will act according to that thought that came in. There are 4 sections of these thoughts. They're all 70,000s that comes around this hotel, spinning around, trying to get in. There's one section that has satanic or dark thoughts, not good. If you accept them inside, then with your ego, that marriage between that thought and that creates evil stuff. Your body will do something bad. But if you kick them out from that revolving door, then they will not affect you. After they pass like this, 70,000 with 4 sections. There's negative ones, and there is your ego ones portion. Ego likes pleasures, addictive stuff that it likes to insist on it. All kind of desires and when you connect to something, you don't let go of it. You have a word for it.
Like in Buddhist practice, we would talk about grasping or grab. Yeah.
Grabbing or grasping something that your ego wants.
Yeah.
You don't let go of it. Those thoughts are from your nafs, from your ego. That's the portion also.
So the word is nef? Yeah.
Nafs.
Nefs, yeah.
N-A-F-S.
Yeah.
So the thoughts, we call it shaitanic thoughts or satanic thoughts that comes in, one portions. And then your nafs is another portion. And then we call it angelic, from the angels, thoughts. Those are the ones that gives you inspirations, creativity, innovation, inventing, stuff like that. And then there is the divine thoughts. Those, when they come, they make you to disconnect with this planet and whatever is in it. You connect with the creator. You only think about that. At that time, your main goal, if you have a target with the red spot in the middle, the target, that will be Allah is my target. And then your wish that Allah will accept you. And then Allah is not somebody like in our back subconscious. We think Allah is like somebody sitting on a chair or something like that with a white beard. That's the picture they have. And Allah has 20 attributes. First, the attribute of otherness. Whatever you think Allah is, it's not. It's other than that. Beside, no beginning, no end, and has speech, and can hear, and can talk. Allah has 20 attributes that we have to know, beside the hidden ones that are infinite. But anyway, those thoughts also, they come through us. So the 4 sections that makes 70,000 thoughts, they go around this hotel called your heart. And you have to be aware of them.
Yasir, can I
Yes.
jump in now and ask
Jump.
something? Yeah.
Jump.
Because I was thinking of the parallels between these 4 areas. In Buddhist practice, we would talk about thoughts, emotions, in terms of whether they are skillful or unskillful, sometimes translated as wholesome or unwholesome. Basically, whether following them leads to awakening or following them leads to getting caught in greed, hatred, or delusion. Right?
Yeah.
And I think even the first one, what you're calling satanic, Buddhist practice would probably more focus on what is related to greed or hatred or delusion.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then
That's
the question is, how, I think first you're talking about the need to learn how to be present, right?
Yes.
To work with those 4 kinds of thoughts. You first need to know how to be present, otherwise you're just lost. It's very similar in Buddhist practice. Like in my instructions, we start with being less distracted, being more stable, so you can actually see what's there. And then the second, main instruction is just to see clearly. And then if we were to give further instructions, we would say, okay, how do you work with what comes up? How do you see what is good to keep going, what is good to see and not give nourishment to, not to feed, we might say. Yeah.
Yes. And
so,
then the breath.
Yeah. So I was going to say, how do you work? How do you do both of those? Both the becoming more present. If you would instruct someone, maybe at your mosque, how would you give instructions for practicing for both the becoming more present and working with the 4 kinds of thoughts?
Yes, that's the practice of the heart. And also the breath. In our traditional knowledge, there are 124,000 breaths. Half are exhaling and half are inhaling.
Mm-hmm.
And to combat these things, they give you codes. Like the salam alaikum is a code of introduction, and saying salam is one of the names of Allah. He has many names, but salam is one of them. It means peace. And alaykum means upon you. Peace be upon you. Salam alaykum. And then you answer alaykum salam. That's a code. So we have different codes for different situations. Let's say you tell me, I'm going to see you tomorrow. I'll see you tomorrow. And you stop there. So let's say you say, I see you tomorrow at the pool at 11. That's what we decided. I come to the pool, it's 11 o'clock, you didn't show up, and I'm still waiting for you. The feeling I'm going to get is disappointment, a little disappointment. He told me he's going to be here at 11, now he's not here, because we didn't use the code. Now, the code they give you for such thing like that, futuristic things, is to say after, I'm going to meet you tomorrow at 11, insha'Allah. That's the code, insha'Allah. What it does, which means God willing, insha'Allah. What it does is, if I'm there at 11 o'clock, you don't show up, I have the insha'Allah saying Allah has planned for him to be somewhere else. Therefore, I don't get disappointed, because this is beyond you or me. This is something else. These are the codes they give you for every situation. There is a code. and you have to remember this code. It's like you are a mechanic and you have a bag full of different tools. For each situation, you bring the tool you have to fix that situation with that word.
Yeah, it's
These are
very,
the codes.
yeah, it's very beautiful. It's
Yeah.
like you have all the codes which really express wisdom and love, we might say.
Yeah,
And it's
yeah,
I was thinking of the parallels with Buddhist practice. We might remember, remember equanimity and even compassion. Oh, my friend did not show up,
yeah,
and I can notice what's going on in myself, disappointment, and I could bring mindfulness, be with the disappointment. Maybe I have some irritation and
yeah,
notice that, but then I could remember I don't know what's happening. My practice is just to be balanced with whatever occurs. That's equanimity. And I can
yeah,
also bring in compassion. I don't know what has happened, maybe something difficult. So I can go to my kind heart. So it's like how to bring in that wisdom and equanimity and the kind heart moment by moment. That's at the center.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So we just have it in a nutshell.
Yeah.
Inshallah. It
Yeah.
has all the stuff you said. So we like to be on a zero, because the numbers, if you go from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, it's endless going like that. Also from 0, you can go -1, -2, endless the other way. So to be in that place called the 0 is the place you looking for, to be in that place. If you get happy, you don't want to go far away. 1, 2, 3 is enough, and you come back to the 0. If you are unhappy or something, angry or something, you can go -1, -2, -3, but don't stay far away. Come back to that 0 place. That's the idea. Now, for the advice, a wolf was on the side of a river, and he looked at a camel on the other side. So he told the camel, "Hey, you, how deep is this river?" The camel said, "It's up to my knees." He said, "Oh, the knees." And then he went to swim. Then he started drowning. And he came back. He said, "Well," he said, "up to the knees." He said, "I'm going to drown." He said, "Not your knees, my knees. I am higher."
Mm-hmm.
So we cannot take advice, other people's knees, and then measure them on ourselves. You have to be the right advice, because we take advice from each other. We take knowledge from each other, but you have to have the right knowledge. And to do that, you have to have wisdom. Otherwise, you can drown like that wolf. You think that advice is good, but it's not good for you. It's good for the camel. The water comes to his knees, not your knees. So in this spiritual realm, we have to speak according to people's level. You can't give them something they cannot carry. You have to be gradually get into that place through the workout. And they have all the Sufis, they have set the beginning, the intermediate, and the advance. So at the beginning, they deal only with the body, how to be conscious with your body. And then next level, you deal only with the heart. What should be in the heart? What your body should know, there are 5 pillars for your body. What your heart should know, there are 6 pillars. And then you can go to up. The highest point is the level of the soul. And that level of the soul, there are 2 pillars. And that makes the Islam to go from 1 to 10. Mostly in the West, people, they only know the level 1. And if they know anything about Islam, usually, if you say the word Islam, people have a reaction. They have a reaction from the subconscious that makes them to have like allergy. It starts scratching. They don't like that word Islam, because it's been carried by people who represented Islam in the wrong way, because they're only at level 1. Most of these people, we have experience with them. They are brainwashed to think everybody is going to hell except themselves. They're going to paradise. Once you get this brain working like this and their belief to be like that, those people at 9/11, or we have in Morocco some people the same way, when they ask them and they caught them, they say, we are doing this for the sake of Allah, and we are doing this because you guys are not true, faithful to Allah, kind of thing. So we had this French guy teaching people at the airport in Morocco, telling them, we're going to teach you body language. If you see somebody sweating and moving like that, you know that they're going to do something bad. We told him, this is your idea because you don't know Islam very well. These people, they're not going to sweat and be afraid and going like this. These are happy to die. They're happy to come. They can't wait. They can see paradise already in their eyes if they do this bombing. So you're not going to detect them because they are smiling, happy to do something like that because they've been brainwashed them. And this happened between the Iranians and the Iraqis in that war between them. Now, in Iran, they gave this golden key and then put a green turban on 13 years old, 14 years old boys, telling them, you are going to paradise for sure. There is the key. So go ahead and die, and you'll go straight to paradise, and your family will be also going to paradise. That's how you lure people to do things like that. It means religion is very, very, very dangerous when it comes to that point.
Yeah, and we were talking yesterday about how it is important to know that one finds something very parallel in all traditions, right?
Yes.
And in the last period of time, there is what we call Islamophobia, negativity, but you can find in the history of different religions. Certainly, you can find in the history of Buddhism, even happening right now in Myanmar or Burma. You can find Buddhist monks and Buddhist leaders who are connected with violence in that country. And I actually once did a long essay looking at the history of violence in the Buddhist tradition, and it goes back, and you can find a lot of examples. It's typically when it gets connected with state power, and you can raise question. I think this is what you were saying, that whether these people were just Buddhists in name or whether there was really much internal development. And I think that's what you're really saying, that is the case. And of course, we can see that in the history of Christianity. It's very goes back a very long way. So that's a reality, isn't it?
Yes, that's why this Zoom, the benefit of it is like a boat. Imagine a boat. It has upstairs and it has downstairs.
Yeah.
In the downstairs of that boat, there's people that likes to be there because it fits their ideas. There's a lot of stuff left by those people that gather a lot of stuff. What do you call those people?
Materialists?
Crowded. No, materialists and also the other ones.
Consumers? Yeah.
Consumers, materialists, the other one that are something crazy. They get a lot of stuff in their house. They cannot get rid of them because they love them.
Oh, yeah.
What do you call those? Have a name.
Hoarders.
Hoarders. Who said that?
Carlita. Yeah.
You won $10 million. In that downstairs boat, it's dark, but it fits their mindset because they like darkness and it's interesting there because there is all these things that are left by hoarders, all those crazy stuff there, and they like to dwell with those things. Their ideas are like that, and they are downstairs of that boat. The one upstairs on the boat, they can see the blue sky, they can see the stars, they can see the water, they can see everything. they live in light, and the other one lives downstairs. Now, they're all in one boat. Like, let's say this earth is one boat, for example, or this country is like one boat. Now, these people downstairs, let's say they got thirsty. One of them who's got the idea coming to his heart, in his hotel heart, that said to him, look, you don't have to go upstairs to look for water. Water is right under your feet. All you have to do is dig a hole. If you dig a hole here, we can get the water. If that one get that idea and everybody else follow that idea, they will dig a hole there and the boat will sink with the people on top also sinking with them. World War I is just an idea that somebody dressed and make everybody to believe in it. And so many innocent people died. World War II, same thing. An idea came, they embraced it, they made it in their bodies, and they spread it around, and so many innocent people passed. The same idea is the boat. We, as people doing this Zoom and seeing things, we have to do, that's why activism is important. You have to stop the people from digging a hole at the bottom of the boat because we will sink with them.
Yeah, and
We have to stop them by clear wisdom and light, and then to stop such thing, there are 3 levels of stopping. Level 1, you can stop with your hand. Turn off the stove. You can stop with your hand. Level 2, if you cannot stop with your hand, level 2, stop with your word. Turn off that, or put on do not disturb, for example. If you cannot do these 2, at least in your heart you should be disgusted about it. You say, I don't like that. And that's the weakest place.
yeah,
Therefore,
yeah.
this Zoom and what we are doing, I am doing also, is for this idea, we have to keep going with it. We cannot just not get involved because they will dig a hole.
Yeah, and then I'm thinking also of the value of coming across different traditions. I was thinking of the example recently from Texas, where there was the rabbi and others were taken taken hostage at a synagogue,
Yeah,
and he had been doing a lot of work across traditions with imam, and that person came and they spoke on behalf,
yeah,
right? And so the value of coming across traditions to join together, I think, very, very important right now.
absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. And related to that, I was thinking of someone that we knew very well who used to come to the pool named Houston Smith.
Ah, yes.
Yeah, wonderful person. He was one of my teachers. And probably some of you know Houston Smith. He was a great teacher about the world's religions and a beautiful man. He died a few years ago in his late 90s. Again, one of my teachers, and his understanding was that all of the great religious or spiritual traditions of the world at their contemplative and mystical dimensions, they are saying pretty much the same thing. And he expressed that in a lot of writings quite beautifully. And, I used to be able to see him at the pool, and we used to talk in the locker room and so forth. And you talked with him a lot because he came regularly to the pool. And I'm wondering whether you agree with his understanding that we could say that the mystical dimensions of the world's traditions are saying something very much the same, if not identical. Yeah. Do you see it that way? Yeah.
Yeah, I see that too. What a beautiful man. He used to come to swim, and I met him there at the pool. I see also things are there is evolution. Every time You get a knowledge, somebody else brings a knowledge that is higher than that. For example, long time people would not thinking that we can fly. If you tell them we're gonna one day fly with the airplane, they say no, that's not possible. But people are now flying. So that means there's an evolution in whatever we are doing. Each group of human beings, they bring something new. Maybe later they'll have something that can make us fly ourselves without any airplanes. We may say, "No, it's not possible," but they did it in Star Trek. Beam me up. It could be possible for the next generations, and then we can look far away that human beings are actually evaluating or going to new places. And this should not be something that can make us to stick with backward, because we are going forward. And therefore, I cannot put everything at the same table and say, this is like this, and this is like that, and this like that. I'll say, no, this one was like this, and this one was adding to what is here, adding it here, and this one adding it there. And we're going forward, progressing. And I believe in progressions. And there are some pillars that you cannot change them or progress them because they are set pillars. For example, to be honest, to be sincere, to be truthful. All these are pillars. They stay where they are. But there is different innovations that different groups should bring to fit with time. No, because we have Zooms, no, we have the cell phone, we have the iPhone, this is something different than the people before us. Because I remember when we didn't have any phone at all. If you want to speak to somebody, you have to meet them. Then the phone came and it was stuck. You cannot go somewhere. You have to put stuck on the same place where the phone is. Now you can travel with your phone and you can sleep with your phone next to you, and has an alarm there, has so many things. So there is a progression. So we cannot ignore the progression. We have to use what we have now. And the Sufism, they say a Sufi is a person of his time or her time. They live in the time right now. What happened to the other people? They said, no, if we're going to leave this Islam, we have to go back to 7th century, because those people, what they did, that is real Islam. And they missed the whole thing. That is, we are not 7th century. We are here now. You have to be here. And that's something I like to share, to say, no, there is new stuff, and people can innovate and bring new stuff that can make us better even than before.
Yeah, I mean, I think the parallel to that would be I'm very conscious of bringing innovations into Buddhist practice, to some of the areas I mentioned, to connect traditional Buddhist practice with elements of Western psychology, psychotherapy, to make those connections. And it becomes more of a dialogue back and forth, not one way, or also to say, how do we bring our ethical pillar, like you were saying, we have ethical foundation, ethical pillar. How do we bring that into using new technologies? How do we do that? How do we bring, in Buddhism, we talk about right speech or wise speech. How do we do that with electronic communication? Or, I'm very interested with how do we bring the basic Buddhist practice into areas of social justice, right? These are innovations where things are being developed in the last maybe 100 years and now, where there is creativity, something new developing, just to really meet the needs of our time, and to look at our own, okay, what are my areas of conditioning, of confusion? How do I work with these? And a lot of the ways that we are conditioned is different than it was 2,000 years ago or 1,000 years ago. So we need to have some different ways.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering, Yasir, are you ready if we can open it up to people in the group to ask anything or share something?
No, that's the time for us.
Yeah,
This is the time.
yeah.
Yeah.
So we'd invite anyone who wants to ask something of either of us, or just ask a general question. Perhaps both of us could respond, or share something that's important for you. And we can go to, again, I think the raised hand function, either that or sending a chat to Carlita if you'd like to do it that way. Or maybe to ask, to expand on something that particularly that Yasir said. Yeah, I would, for example, love to hear maybe sometime in the next period just something about your teachers and who really influenced you. I think we can start now. We have Nancy.
Okay.
Great. You were unmuted. I think you're okay now.
Okay. Donald, a question for you. I'm a psychotherapist and I'm still practicing. I was interested when you said some of the things, the ways that you'd like to see Buddhism expand. And many books are written about this, and I certainly use my years of Buddhist practice and the knowledge I have in my psychotherapy practice. But I would love to hear any of your thoughts about the field of psychology and psychotherapy and how Buddhism can be important in that.
Yeah. Thank you, Nancy. It's a big question, and,
Yes.
and I'll be brief. I like to think of it as something like a dialogue occurring, and people take different approaches. Some psychotherapists try to integrate contemplative practice. It could also be Sufi practice. There are Sufis also connecting with psychotherapy. So some really want to make connections. That's what I do. Like when I work with working with the judgmental mind, I integrate elements of Buddhist practice with understandings from Western psychology. Particularly valuable is the way of pointing to how we have what we call limiting beliefs that often come from childhood, that were set up in childhood, that are very dominant for almost all of us, and that are typically unconscious. So I bring that in, but then I use different methods to access that, including mindfulness and including using heart practices like compassion, loving kindness, and so forth. So some people want to integrate. Some people will bring in some Buddhist practice into psychotherapy in a small way, like with bringing in mindfulness, learning how to be present more easily. Part of the dialogue also, and maybe last thing I'll say, part of the dialogue also is, what is the purpose of our psychotherapy versus what is the purpose of our spiritual practice? And we can go back to Dr. Freud said that the purpose of psychoanalysis is to be a well-balanced neurotic. I think I'm being fair there. I think he said that. And the purpose of spiritual practice is usually taken to use Yasir's metaphor, to be a few steps further, right? And, the purpose is awakening. Purpose is enlightenment. The purpose is to be full of wisdom and love. So it really is looking, what are the aims of psychotherapy versus what are the aims of spiritual practice? And of course, some psychotherapists want to have awakening or enlightenment as the aim when they do psychotherapy, but that's very different. And then there's some spiritual teachers who are psychotherapists who say, we have to keep these very separate, right? And not try to, so a lot of different approaches. So I hope that's a good starting point. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Who is next, Carlita?
Yes, Cindy has her hand up next.
Okay, great.
Hi, Yasir. I'm so glad you're here.
Thank you.
The question I have is, my ideas of Sufism has been around Sufi dancing, and I wondered if you could say something about that. So that's how I have thought of Sufi. I love everything that you've said so far, but I just would like to hear something about that, if you can say anything about it.
The Sufi movement started with a lot of people, but they didn't have it organized. When Rumi came and they were discussing which one carries who, does the body carries the soul or the soul is carrying the body? They were talking about this. And then Rumi want to tell them that the soul is the one that carrying the body. That's why when somebody dies and we carry the body, it's heavy because the soul is not there. It's really heavy. And I had experience with that. So he stood up, and to show them that the soul is carrying the body, he spinned. When he spinned, he lifted from the ground. Rumi, he lifted and spinning, and he proved to them that the soul is the one that carries the body. Or he wants to say them, your real identity is not your body. Your soul is who you really are. Because the body is like a baby, and you become teenager, you become this age, it keeps on changing. What's real never change. It stayed the same. That's how our identity. So he spun that way, and from it came the twirling dervishes. They spin like that. But none of them has been detached from the ground, except Rumi. their ego is heavy. And when they came here to America, there was a section of people that do the spiritual dancing. They free it from the discipline of dancing, the Mavlevi, or we call it Mawlawi dancing, which they have, everything is disciplined. They did it in an American way with Sufi Sam, he's a very famous Sufi. He's buried in, I visited his tomb. He's buried in New Mexico, there. And then followed him, there is a Shabda Khan, and they play guitar like this, and they sing around, La ilaha illallah. They have, we call ilahis, but they move their bodies. And that's different than the prescribed one from Rumi.
Right.
That's different.
Thank you.
You're
Thank you very much.
Thank you. I think it's helpful also to add that the most popular poet, the poet whose books are bought the most, is an Islamic poet named Rumi in the United States. That's important to remember. Okay.
Beautiful. Next we have Jenny.
Hi, Jenny.
Hi, Donald. Hi, Yasir. I just enjoyed this so much. I'm just so appreciative to hear what you've shared. It's really touched me. And I'm wondering if there's a book that you can recommend to learn a little bit more.
This is for Donald?
This is for you, Yasir.
Oh.
I think a book, maybe a book on Sufism and Sufi practice.
Yeah, I'm just really touched by what you've shared, and I'm curious to learn more.
There is this book here.
That's a big one.
It has, yeah.
Like, can you show that again, Yasir? Show
Yeah,
that up,
yeah, show it again.
up to the screen. And the name is?
Kashani.
Yeah, Kashani.
Kashani.
He covers all the Sufi stuff. It's a big book, but you don't have to go through this book. That's because it's in English. Most of the book I read, they're all in Arabic, because the translation sometimes 1 page in Arabic becomes 3 pages in English. They need a lot of words to say few words. Therefore, I never read the English stuff. I need only the Arabic, and I speak English to say what I am reading. But there is tons of books about Sufism.
Yeah, how
That's
would you
this one.
how would you say? I mean, again, many of us have read Rumi. Is that
Yeah.
that doesn't give the history, but that can give
No.
some of the spirit. Yeah.
Yeah, the spirit. If you want to start for, I can't right now in my head to say, but
I have some things I know.
you
I
do.
think the poetry of Rumi, also Hafez,
Yeah,
and yeah, one book. It's old. I think it's pretty good. It's by Anne Marie Schimmel. It's called
yes.
the the mystical dimensions of Islam.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I'm curious about. I was really curious about how you described the quadrants of the heart and this concept of zero, and just understanding those basic.
Yeah,
It's just really interesting. So
yeah. And there is also the concept of the soul. Where does the soul live?
yeah.
They say the soul lives in a giant, biggest than you can imagine, a funnel, like a funnel, but an organic funnel. And that funnel has holes in it, like the beehive. You know the beehive?
Mhm.
And so the funnel is way open in the top and get narrow at the bottom. The ones that are on top are in the open place, more light. The one under, they like to be in that place. In the middle of the funnel, all the Milky Ways and everything are little dusts in there. And then when the soul comes in the body, not the whole soul, it's just one ray from your soul comes to your brain. That's what gives you ideas. That's why when we saw people that are holy, we saw the halo around their head. That halo, if you follow it with your eyes, you'll see it going all the way to where their place is on the funnel. That's the souls. And there is more to say, but I don't want to take too much time.
Okay.
So beautiful. Thank you so much for.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
And maybe, Yasir, you can consider a short book that you write.
Yeah.
Yeah, my books are alive people that I teach.
Yeah.
They carry what I want, because
Yeah.
writing books is tons of books.
A lot of books. Yeah.
I like live book.
Okay.
Somebody said, I learned from Yasir this. That's a good book.
That's a good book. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Mashallah.
Next we have Mary.
welcome, Mary.
Thank you. I am so excited to be here. This is my first time with Spirit Rock. Thank you, Donald. And I am so delighted to see you and hear from you, Yasir. I have been, in my own way, my husband and I, following Hazrat Inayat Khan
Yes.
for 15 years now, and practicing through that tradition. We do still study with Douglas Klotz, who does the Dances of Peace,
Yes.
and came from Sufi Sam.
Yes.
So it has so enriched my psychotherapy. I'm 74, still doing it because I can't stop, because my heart is so full, and people are so responsive to it. It's amazing. The heart is truly the center, and I am really enjoying what I'm hearing from you. I'm going to look for a website for you. I am going to see if I can ever get to your mosque. I am just thrilled, and I will be saying thankful prayers to Allah for you.
Ameen. 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 Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mary. And Yasir, do you have I know you have a lot of music and talks on YouTube. Do you have a website?
No, I only my wife has a Facebook,
Yeah.
Khadija Chadley Facebook, and if you want to be her friend, then you can see she puts all the stuff that I do.
Okay. And that's
Otherwise,
spelled Khadijah.
Right,
Yeah.
Khadija
Yeah.
Chadley. And
Great.
you just ask to be her friend, and then you can see she is the one who puts all the stuff I do.
Great. Anyone else, or Carlita, is there any question from the chat or any sharing from the chat?
Just a kind request to please bring Yasir back again in the future.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, because this is an ocean of knowledge to speak, but it adds to what we know. You add more, and that's how we progress. And then we can stop the people from putting a hole at the bottom of the boat.
Yeah.
That's what my concern is.
Then we have to very much do it together. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I love the connections across traditions. Really, really so crucial right now.
Yes.
Yeah. Maybe let's finish. I had words that we came up with when we were talking together, Yasir, maybe as
Yeah.
a way of ending. We
Yeah.
said, love is contagious, more contagious and powerful than COVID.
That's right.
And so maybe do you want to have just a final word before we finish? Yasir?
Yes, the question about love. Sometimes people say, why do people always love you? What are you already doing? I said, I'm not doing anything. But you can take this example. If you go to the mountains and there is an echo, if you say, I love you, you hear back, I love you. If you say, I hate you, it comes back, I hate you. Whatever you put out there is going to clash back on you. So be loving and say, I love you. Even inanimate things will love you. After I left the pool broke down. It was not happy that it's still closed because it didn't like that I left. Because inanimate things are also aware. Because I used to pray there, I used to repeat the divine words. People, they do laps, physical laps, and I do laps with this. Each one for me is a lap. And I do thousands of them while they're swimming. I'm watching them, but I'm doing my spiritual lap. So if you do that, even inanimate things will love you. Ants will love you. Fish in the ocean will love you. Everything will love you because you're sending I love you to these mountains. Mountains are people. If you said I love you, they say I love you too. That's my last.
Wonderful, Yasir. And what Yasir
That's
said
my
is
last
true. Our local pools, shortly after Yasir retired, after so many years, one of them, we have two pools, and one of them, the mechanisms broke down and are still not fixed. Maybe today will help them come back.
Yes, Amin. That's right.
We will hope that. And I should say, I don't know if I tell you how much I tell you, Yasira, but when I swim my laps, I do loving kindness practice the whole time. I do one being, one lap.
Yes, yes.
And we've talked about that, I think, some. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, that's true.
And I think
That's
also
true.
what you're saying about really connects with our own practice, which is that when we know what's happening, we have to know what's happening in the present moment, because whatever is there and we nourish gets stronger, whether it's being aware, being present, being loving, being wise, or whether it's being greedy, having hatred or delusion. And so that's really our practice is moment to moment. Whatever we have in our hearts and minds, we want to see it, and we want to invite the positive qualities and see the negative ones and somehow not feed them anymore. That's the entirety of our practice, isn't it?
Yes.
And we can go across traditions and say it in a very simple way like that. And so may our time together, may our discussion, may our sharing, may our practice, may it be beneficial to everyone here. May it be beneficial to all beings.
Amen. Yes.
So thank you so much, Yasir. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Carlita.
Pleasure.
And if you want to unmute, you can just share anything you'd like to share. But let's do our
Thank you.
bye-bye.
Assalamu alaikum.
Thank you.
Alaikum assalam.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Donald. Thank you, Yasser. Thank you,
You're
everyone.
welcome.
Blessings.
Thank you.
Alaikum salam.
Oh, wonderful.
Alaikum salam.
Yes.
Salam. Alaikum salam.
Marhaba.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you, everyone. Wonderful.
All right, Donald. It was great.
Okay,
Thank you for
we
sharing.
will. Till next time.
Thank you so much. Have a beautiful week.
Thank you, Carlita.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you, Carlita.
My pleasure. Take good care.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening. To learn how you can support the teachers and Dharma Seed, please visit dharmaseed.org/donate.